Good afternoon and welcome to the 24th meeting of the 24th City Council. This meeting will come to order. As always, we begin our meetings with roll call and all councilors are present today via Zoom video conference. Like we do with every meeting, we begin our meeting with a moment of silence and of allegiance. This week, Councilor Borrego is going to lead us in both pledges, but as we take our moment of silence, we ask everyone to join us given the COVID pandemic and emergency. We all, I think at this point, know someone we've lost, but the city lost someone very important to all of us here in the last few weeks. Our former Inspector General Ken Bramlett passed, unfortunately, from COVID since we've last met, and we ask that you keep his family in mind and his colleagues, some of whom are on our meeting this evening, as you consider your moment of silence. So please join us in that moment, and we'll let Councilor Borrego lead us out with the pledge.
Thank you, Councilor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos.
Thank you, ma'am. We do appreciate it. A few housekeeping notes, and then we'll get into our business of the day. As was noted in a press release from our office on Friday and posted on our website and noted in our published agenda, today's meetings has special procedures given the governor's declaration of a public health emergency and restrictions on gatherings. Therefore, today's meeting is being held by Zoom video conference. Members of the public, our city staff, and the media have the ability to view this meeting live through 3 different platforms: on GovTV, on Comcast Channel 16, on the GovTV website, and on YouTube. These live streams can be accessed from most smartphones, tablets, or computers. And for those of you watching on the live stream, we do thank you for joining us. The video recording of this and all of our council meetings are always available for viewing at any time on the council's website. Our staff is available via telephone. If you need assistance in accessing that, just please contact our staff at 768-3100. The council accepts live public comment today, as well as any written comments. Written comments that were received by 1 p.m. were distributed to councilors in advance of today's meeting. Mr. Julian Moya, our Zoom moderator, will work us through general public comment after we take care of some preliminary items up front. Councilors, for this evening, for proclamations and presentations, we want to begin with our annual rite of passage here, maybe an example to those in Washington to see how we transition power around here. But first, let me say thank you to all of our committee chairs and our officers for the year. We don't need any more long speeches that say we're glad last year is done, but nor do we need any more reminders that this has been an extraordinary year. And none of us knew when we entered this time last year, all the challenges that would bring us to our city, would be brought to our city and our country and the globe, actually. But we adapted. And first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to all of our staff, from the folks at the front desk to our clerk and our staff director who worked behind the scenes from home, all kinds of creative ways to be sure that we can continue to have these meetings and do the business of the people. But a few of our councilors also stepped up and were in leadership positions to be sure that we could continue to do that. And I want to thank our 2020 committee chairs for their service in this extraordinary year. Normally, we would give you a gavel that signifies your chairmanship, chairpersonship. Unfortunately, we can't get that to you. So we have placed those in your office. Whenever it is that you get to come back, you can add that to your collection. Councilor Gibson, we want to acknowledge and say thank you to serving as chair of the Finance and Government Operations Committee. Councilor Sena, as chair of our brand new Public Safety Committee, our inaugural chair. Thank you, ma'am. Councilor Jones, another excellent term heading up our LUPS committee, as you've done so many times ably in the past. And of course, our colleague and my friend, Councilor Benton, guiding us through the strangest budget process we've ever seen as the chair of the committee of the whole. And we want to thank you, and our staff has placed your gavels there. I also want to give a special acknowledgement and thank you to Councilor Gibson, who stepped up to serve as our vice president during this last year. And so I hope that on behalf of all of us, if you will all give yourselves and your committee chairs and your leadership a round of applause by Zoom, we'll say thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you. Councilor Gibson, I see you have a message or a comment.
So I'm a little disabled right now because I'm just looking at the script. Was it scripted, Mr. President?
It was, ma'am, but that's okay. We can come back to it later. It's totally fine.
Okay. Oh, here it is. Sorry, I sincerely want to thank Councilor Davis for serving as president of this council in 2020. I think that he's really tried to keep us together and going and forward to the best that you can. Keep 9 people who have very different ideas about things together, but I think he's done a really good job at that. So I, for one, am very grateful. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that very much. Councilors, if we don't have any more comments on that item, as is our custom, we're going to take the last item on the agenda and do it first here at our first meeting of the year. And so we will move into other business, which would be item A, which is the election of our president and vice president, followed by the election of our committee of the whole chair. For those of you who haven't been through this with us before, or like me, who've done it a few times and just don't remember because we only do it once a year, really quickly, here's how this works. I will open the floor for nominations for president of the city council. There is no second required, and members of the council can nominate themselves if they so choose. We will take votes by open voice vote. So if we have multiple candidates, each councilor will go down and name the candidate for whom they are voting by name. If after a second round there's not a majority of votes selecting one individual, I can make a motion to reopen the floor for nominations. Are there any questions from anyone before that process begins? And our clerk is here with her handy dandy rule guide in case we need that. But we will open the floor for nominations. Councilor Benton, I see your hand first.
Thank you, Mr. President. Contrary to popular opinion, this is not an unprecedented motion. Councilors have served 2 terms as president in the past, and I think Councilor Davis has really guided us through a very complicated and difficult year. As many people say, with the pandemic, time has stood still in a way, while many things have been in motion, but there's a sense of an extended year, and we're kind of in that extended year once again. And I think Pat Davis has served us so ably and represented the council so well over the last year that I had the idea, and I did look back to make sure it had been done before. Brad Winter served 2 consecutive terms, in case anyone is asking. But that was before my time, but it was in this century. So I think it's appropriate that we now consider Councilor Davis, President Davis, for another term, and I nominate him for another term.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that very much. Very kind words. I appreciate it. Are there other nominations from the floor for other?
Yes, Mr. President, I can't raise my hand, but I'd like to nominate City Councilor Cynthia Borrego for president.
Thank you, Councilor Pena. We'll take note. We have a nomination for Councilor Borrego. Councilors, are there any other motions for nominations for president of the city council? Going once? Going twice? Seeing none, we will close nominations for president and ask our clerk, Ms. Ortega, if she would please call the voice vote for election of the president of the city council. Ms. Ortega.
Councilor Bassan. Councilor Borrego. Councilor Benton.
Councilor Davis.
Councilor Borrego.
Councilor Borrego.
Councilor Gibson. Counselor Gibson, if you could turn your mic on, please.
I apologize. Counselor Davis,
Thank you. Counselor Harris,
Counselor Borrego.
Counselor Jones,
Counselor Davis.
Counselor Pena,
Counselor Borrego.
Counselor Sena, Counselor Sena, your mic. I'm not hearing you. Counselor Sena. I can't hear you.
Try pushing the space bar.
Madam Clerk, if we might ask, Counselor Sena, if you're able to use the chat just for the moment, could you do that for us and we'll verify that vote for you?
We're in
Oh,
webinar.
okay, never mind. Let's do it this way. Counselor Sena, do you intend to vote for Counselor Borrego? You can give us a thumbs up if that's correct. Okay, that's what I assumed. Thank you.
Okay. Counselor Davis.
Davis.
Counselor Borrego wins on a 5-4 vote.
Thank you all. And for my colleague from the West Side, congratulations, Madam President.
Counselor Davis, and all of the counselors, thank you so much for your confidence. Counselor Davis, I want to extend my heartfelt appreciation for the past year. I know it's been a really tough time for all of us, and with your humor and really positive attitude, we've gotten through this, and I want to thank you for that, really, from the bottom of my heart. And for the counselors, I hope to represent us all together and move forward, and hopefully move forward to a place where we are all together again. So, Counselor, if you'd like to finish the meeting, I'm happy to just, it's up to you, whatever you'd like. I'm happy to step in, or I'm happy to just watch.
Well, thank you, Madam President, and we'll totally defer to you. If it's okay, by our normal practice, we'll finish the votes now, and then we'll take a brief break and we can figure out how we want to move forward with the rest of the meeting. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Well, congratulations on your election. I look forward to working with you, and I can't wait. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Absolutely.
Counselors, we will move on to the election of Vice President of the City Council. That process will happen just like our last one did, as you might imagine. And so I will make him open the floor for nominations for Vice President for the City Council. Is there any are there any nominations? Counselor Pena.
I'd like to nominate Counselor Bassan.
Thank you. Counselors, are there any other nominations for Vice President? Counselor Benton.
Hey, Mr. President, I'd like to nominate Counselor Gibson.
Thank you. And we have a second nomination, which would be for Counselor Gibson. Counselors, are there any other nominations? On the floor, I see Counselor Bassan and Counselor Gibson. Seeing no other nominations, we'll close the nominations and ask our clerk, Ms. Ortega, to please call the voice vote for that. And we will work with Counselor Sena, who's reporting through Mr. Moya here with us. And so Mr. Moya can report her vote for us if we don't get her mic working. Ms. Ortega, would you go ahead?
Yes. Counselor Bassan.
Thank you for the nomination, and Counselor Bassan.
Thank you. Counselor Benton.
Counselor Gibson.
Counselor Borrego.
Counselor Bassan.
Counselor Gibson.
Counselor Gibson,
Counselor Harris.
Counselor Bassan.
Counselor Jones. Counselor Jones.
Sorry, Counselor Gibson.
Counselor Pena.
Counselor Bassan.
Counselor Sena.
I'm
Counselor
sorry.
Sena. Go ahead. Yes, Counselor Gibson. I'm sorry, Counselor Sena has voted for Counselor Gibson through Mr. Moya. Counselor Sena is currently having some technical issues that we're working through. Counselor Davis.
I believe Counselor Pena would be next, Madam Clerk.
We got Pena. Pena voted for Counselor Bassan.
I'm
And
sorry, I missed that. And so I would vote for Counselor Gibson.
Counselor Gibson is Vice President on a 5-4 vote.
Congratulations, Madam Vice President, again.
Thank you. I'm getting used to this, sort of. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, ma'am. Counselors, according to our rules, we have one other election to be conducted today, and then we'll defer to our new president for any motions that she might have regarding committee appointments. We have the election of the chair of the committee of the whole. I want to make just an administrative note, and I'll defer to Madam New President in case she wants to do it differently. But later in our agenda, we have an item that was a proposed rule amendment that we had introduced for discussion, but it's my understanding and my belief that we don't have any support for that. And so I intend to allow that to just carry forward to the next meeting where we can withdraw it. So I don't intend to do that today unless any counselor wants to revisit that. And so we'll stick with our standard process of just one Cal chair, and we can change that later down the road. But for right now, let's just do this as it's scripted in the direction, if that's okay with our new president, just to continue that way. Yes, ma'am. Councilor Borrego. Madam President.
President Davis, I'd like to nominate Counselor Pena.
Thank you. We have one nomination, Counselor Pena, for chair of the committee of the whole. Is there a second nomination? Counselor Sena, I see you have a hand up, and so.
I'm testing my audio. Can you hear me?
We can. Welcome back. Yeah. While we have you, do you want to nominate anybody for the budget? Okay, we'll say no. Ms. Ortega.
Excuse me, if I could, Mr. President, in communication with Mr. Melendres, given the Open Meetings Act, it does state that Counselor Sena's vote needs to be heard. So I would just like to confirm her vote on the prior item, which is her vote for Vice President. She voted for Counselor Gibson. Can you confirm that, Counselor Sena?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And then on the prior vote to that for presidency, you voted for Counselor Borrego. Can you confirm that, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Unfortunately, the Open Meetings Act doesn't trust us, so we have to do it the old-fashioned or the record way. Thank you. And so thank you, Madam Clerk. We were back on the nominations for election of the chair of the committee of the whole. We have one nomination on the floor, which is for Counselor Pena. If we have no others, I'd like to make a nomination for Counselor Benton. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll close those nominations, and the two votes on the two names on the floor are Counselor Pena and Counselor Benton.
Counselor Bassan.
Counselor Pena.
Counselor Benton.
Benton.
Counselor Borrego.
Counselor Pena.
Counselor Gibson.
Benton,
Counselor Harris.
Counselor Pena.
Counselor Jones. Counselor,
Benton. Benton.
thank you. Counselor Pena.
Counselor Pena.
Counselor Sena.
Counselor Pena.
Counselor Davis.
Counselor Benton.
Counselor Pena wins on 5-4 vote.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Madam Chair. Councilors, at this point, we normally move on to our approval of the committee appointments, but I'll defer to our new president, Counselor Borrego, how you want to manage that. And then I might suggest we take a brief 5-minute break and let's figure out how to manage the rest of the meeting. And then we'll be back to pick up with public comment, I believe. Madam President, do you have a motion or do you have a preference on how you'd
Thank
like
you,
to?
Mr.
prepare committee
President. I
appointments?
do have a motion. I move that the rules be suspended for the purpose of deferring the approval of the committee appointments to the January 20th council meeting, and the current makeup of the council committees remain in place until the new committee appointments are approved. And I would ask that all councilors send me their requested committees by Friday noon of this week, if possible. And I will have my assistant send out an email requesting that. But if you would send that to me, then we could make those appointments. And I think I need 2/3 of a vote on this.
Thank you. I see Councilor Bassan and myself will also second whoever the clerk can take for the record there. Councilors, any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, when you have a moment, would you please call the roll on the motion to defer committee appointments?
Councillor Bassan,
Yes.
Councillor Benton,
Yes.
Councillor Borrego,
Yes,
Councillor Gibson,
Yes,
Councillor Harris,
Yes.
Councillor Jones,
Yes.
Councillor Pena,
Yes.
Councillor Senna,
Yes.
Councillor Davis,
Yes.
9-0.
All right. So committee appointments are deferred, and we will, thank you, Councilor Borrego. Councilor Borrego sent us a message and asked, we'll continue this meeting in this fashion, and then our new president will pick up with the new agenda she helps to, or that she creates for our next meeting. Is that right, Madam President?
that'd be fine. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So I'm going to ask Mr. Moyer, we're going to move into general public comment now. Do we have any Spanish interpretation for the evening that signed up for? Okay. So I'm going to skip that section of our in public instruction this evening unless someone needs it. Please let us know if you do need it and we're not aware. As was stated earlier, live public comment is being taken today and we have people signed up to speak. Again, we also received written comments and those were provided to the councilors in advance of today's meeting. Members of the public will be able to address the council if they've signed up for live public comment per the rules published on the agenda and in our website on Friday. Members of the public who are being moved from the waiting room into the meeting room to begin. And when Mr. Moya had them all in, we'll give some brief instructions and begin. So we're going to do this a little bit differently this evening, just so we don't have a whole bunch of extra folks. So people in the Zoom waiting room can hear me, and I'm going to give this instruction, and then Mr. Moya is going to let them in 2 at a time this evening to help manage it a little easier. So if you are here for public comment, we remind you that there are a few ground rules. You have up to 1.5 minutes to present, though you're not required to use it all. And you can't pass your time along to someone else. So it's your time, use it as you see fit. Comments are to be addressed to the councilors through the council president. It's not a public debate forum, but we welcome your comments through the council president, and any disruptive comment will result in removal from the Zoom meeting. There is a 1.5 minute time limit. As we mentioned, this timer will start once you begin, and Mr. Moya, our Zoom moderator, will let you know when your time begins and when it is up. Mr. Moya, I'm going to hand you the floor for the moment and let you moderate our public comment, and it is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our first speaker will be Aaron Moore, followed by Anita Cordova. Mr. Moore, please unmute yourself. Feel free to turn your video, and your 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President, councilors. My name is Aaron Moore. I'm here on behalf of the Albuquerque Affordable Housing Coalition today. The COVID pandemic has raised so many issues to dire levels of concern, not the least of which is housing. The stability of families' housing is at the top of their minds, along with their health and the economy right now. Please help us confront this issue with a commitment to fully fund the Workforce Housing Trust Fund during the GEO Bonds program cycle that's upcoming at $10 million or 8%. In Albuquerque, 42% of the residents are facing difficulty with their housing costs. Everyone in the community is now aware that housing can be difficult to afford by no fault of one's own, thanks to this pandemic. There's a reason there's been so many multiple, overlapping, and extended eviction moratoriums. Landlords, too, are frustrated. They worry about facing foreclosures. The best way to help both renters and landlords is to make sure that there's enough affordable housing for all of those who need it. People who can afford rent are not in danger for eviction. Albuquerque could be a leader in this area by fully funding the Workforce Housing Trust Fund and reaffirm the findings and recommendations of the recent Housing Services Framework Report from the city's Homeless Coordinating Committee, which recommends fully funding the trust fund not once but twice in its key findings. People who pay more than 30% of their income for rent are at danger for eviction. Let's help both landlords and tenants by fully committing to this issue and funding it as needed at $10 million or 8% of the GEO bond budget. Thank you very much. I'm happy to take questions.
Mr. Moore, would you stay with us just a minute? Don't disconnect yet. I see that Councilor Benton has a question and I want to give him a chance to speak with you if he chooses. Councilor Benton.
Yeah, just quickly, thanks, Mr. Moore, for pointing that out. And for those who remember, when the trust fund was created initially, we did essentially have a set aside every 2 years at 10 million. So I think if the committee voted twice for that, would that make it 20 million?
We wish. It would probably help.
Anyway, but that is important to note that when we started out with the trust fund, it was at 10 million per 2-year cycle. That changed under the previous mayoral administration. And I fully agree that we need to bring it back. So thanks for pointing that out.
Thank you, Councilor Benton. That's correct.
Thank you, Councilor Ben. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly support your efforts to fully fund that as well. Mr. Moya, we'll take it back to you for our next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Anita Cordova, please unmute yourself. Feel free to turn your video. Your 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking, and you'll be followed by Miss Rose Doyle.
Hi, thank you for having me this afternoon. I am Anita Cordova. I work with Albuquerque Healthcare for the Homeless and also represent Albuquerque Affordable Housing Coalition in the issue to ensure that our GEO bond budget maximizes the Workforce Housing Allocation Fund at $10 million. It is currently budgeted at $4.58 million, leaving it seriously underfunded to meet our city's needs for the development of affordable housing. We've seen during the COVID crisis the immensely important need for housing and in addressing our public health crisis. In addition, current studies abound and align with the need to recommit to our affordable housing as part of our desire to achieve a thriving city and to address our COVID recovery needs going forward. Affordable housing is decreasing and making people and families with extremely low incomes extremely vulnerable to homelessness and other dramatic decreases in overall quality of life, which does not support our goal for a thriving city. In addition to that, we have seen for our current point in time counts from the Housing, Urban and Development that chronic homelessness and homelessness in our city and our state are growing and faster than in any other state in the nation. Without a commitment to deep affordable housing, this will continue to, the situation will continue to be exacerbated and homelessness will continue to be an issue in our city. And we hope and encourage you to recommit to $10 million for the Workforce Housing Trust Fund today and going forward. Thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, I can answer.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Rose Doyle. You can now put on your video and unmute yourself, and you'll be followed by Mr. Melvin Allen. Ms. Doyle, your 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking.
Thank you, Council. My name is Rose Doyle, and I have a lot to say, even if it's 1.5 minutes at a time. So please get used to seeing me at your meetings. Kenneth Benjamin Reese was killed by APD on August 11th, 2020. He is my son's father. Ken called the police for help. Someone was in his home threatening him with a gun. As Ken followed the dispatcher's instructions to leave his residence and hide, he was shot. APD arrived at the scene and chose an invisible deployment towards his home, where they found a blood trail Ken had left as he went to hide as instructed by the dispatcher. They tracked him over 1.5 blocks from his home using that blood trail, where they found him hiding behind a car. He was shot at 11 times. He can be heard screaming, "I am shot, I am shot," at which point APD fires 4 more shots at him. The fatal shot was to the back of his neck, traveling upward into his head. APD knew they were following a wounded human being. They had been told by people on the scene they were following the man that called them. After the 11 shots, they were aware that they had shot a man by his own screams. We don't feel like 4 more deadly shots were necessary. Clearly, this man was in grave distress. Regardless of whether he was the person that called for help or the intruder, he was a human being, and there were other options. AP did not need to kill him or anyone else with 4 more unnecessary gunshots. I would beg the city for APD reform. And all across our country, but in our hometown, we have to stop killing people.
Thank you, Ms. Doyle.
Thank you.
Your time is up. Thank you. Our next speaker is Melvin Allen, followed by Mr. James Mondlock. Mr. Allen, please feel free to turn your video and unmute yourself. and your 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking.
Thank you. My name is Melvin Allen. I wish to address the Workforce Housing Trust Fund issue. I want to remind the council that their bill O-19-62, number 0-2019-016, says that severely cost-burdened households total at least 32,620. Okay, these are the 32,620 households that must allocate 50% or more of their income to rent. And that means they cannot participate in our local economy. All right. Given that there are 227,179 Albuquerque households, that means 14% of our consumer pods cannot participate in our local economy. For the automobile industry, that means we're giving up $80 million in sales, almost 1,000 jobs, and $48 million in wages. In general retail trade, we're walking away from $33 million in sales. I claim we're distorting our housing market and we're hammering ourselves with that. So this is not just about doing the right thing. This is about kissing goodbye 14% of our economic growth. Okay, so I just have to implore the council to take another look at how we've structured our approach to this. I want to
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Your time is up.
Address the competing demands for funding with the question, what's your ROI? What's your
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
investment? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is James Mondlock. Feel free to turn your video and unmute yourself. You'll be followed by Mr. Charles Bennett. Mr. Mondlock, your 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking. Mr. Mondlock, if you could unmute yourself, looks like you're still muted. There you go.
Yes, Councilor, President Borrego, council members, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today concerning the property at 318 Mesilla Street Northeast. Last year, you folks voted to have that property demolished and clean the area around the house. I'm asking you today to please uphold your decision that you made last year and get that property cleaned up and get the house off of the property. It's been an eyesore there for, well, 25 years that we've fought with the owner of that house with no avail. The city's put a lot of effort and a lot of resources into cleaning that property, and it's still a mess. And it presents for us, the neighbors, both a health and a safety issue. That house is a fire trap. There are the owner of that house lives there in a car. He invites local homeless people from Central to come and live with him. Not too long ago, the police had to come and intervene with his dispute he was having with his girlfriend, one of the homeless people that was living with him. So this property is full of animals that are against the permanent injunction. We have probably at least 20 cats running around. They come over to our neighborhood, to our home. That's their bathroom. So we need to get this property cleaned up, and so the neighborhood is safe and healthy. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Charles Bennett, followed by Sarah Manning. Mr. Bennett, feel free to turn your camera back on, unmute yourself.
Hello?
And 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking. Yes, please proceed, Mr. Bennett.
Yes, I too am speaking regards to 318 Mesilla Northeast and asking the council to uphold its decision of last year to demolish the house on that property and to clean that area up again. It's been going on for 25 years or more. And it's time that we saw that area cleaned up. I have provided you testimony last year, and that hopefully that continues to be relevant. And I did send you guys an email with a lot of photographs and of other properties that Mr. John Gallegos has owned, and and another location where he keeps his large collection of garbage and cars and railroad cars in Torreon County. And there's also a house on that property where he also lives. That's been in his family forever, as long as there's been a New Mexico. But I stand for any questions you might have regarding my previous testimony or the email. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Our next speaker is Sarah Manning. Feel free to turn your video back on and unmute yourself. And you'll be followed by Beth Goldman. Ms. Manning, your 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking.
Thank you very much. President Borrego, councilors, it's a pleasure to address you. I am Sarah Manning and I live in District 2. I urge this council to approve M26, a memorial urging the New Mexico State Legislature to establish a public bank owned by the people and for the people of New Mexico. Once upon a time, I was a small business owner, and I know through experience that without access to borrowing, small businesses cannot thrive. And a public bank funded through the state legislature from revenues that come in on an annual basis will be able to create additional access to funding through creating loan programs in partnership with the credit unions and our community banks and CDFIs. We feel that this is the best way to increase the flow of funds, the circulation of funds through our state. And through this additional funding, businesses as well as in certain circumstances, subdivisions of the state of New Mexico will be able to borrow at a reduced interest rate long after COVID has passed and long after all the grants have been grant monies have been spent in to help businesses survive COVID. The advantage of a bank is simply that banks can leverage money with the way no other institution can. So $100 million given to a bank through deposits would turn into the equivalent of $400 to $500 million that can be lent. So this is the most cost-effective way to help our businesses and actually grow throughout our state the GRT taxes on which communities depend strongly. Thank you very much, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Manning. Our next speaker is Beth Goldman, followed by Rebecca Jasso Aguilar. Ms. Goldman, please feel free to turn your camera back on, and your 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking.
Good afternoon and congratulations, President Borrego. I'm speaking in support of increased funds for affordable housing in Albuquerque on behalf of Greater Albuquerque Habitat for Humanity. And I urge the council to allocate 8% or $10 million of the biannual general obligation bond capital improvement program to the Workforce Housing Trust Fund. The use of workforce housing trust funds generate at the ratio of 4-to-1. If Habitat were to receive some of this funding along with our other community partners, the return might even be higher, considering the investment of homeowners in the sweat equity of their home, donations from private donors, and in-kind contributions from manufacturers of energy savings appliances. No other general obligation funds require a match. This allocation is one of the best investments the council can make for our city. You've heard already about how COVID is affecting housing in the community. We've also, over the past 6 months, gained a heightened awareness of the relationship between housing insecurity and generational poverty. The allocation of general obligation bonds to provide for those facing homelessness and to end the housing gap through affordable home ownership for families currently struggling with housing cost burden should be a priority for our council. You've heard about how it will help the community, whether you think it's about it in terms of dollars, long-term social impact, community health, or equity. The return on investment through the Workforce Housing Trust Fund will be unsurpassed. I urge the council to allocate the $10 million of the General Obligation Bond Capital Improvement Program for the Workforce Housing Trust Fund, and I thank you for your support.
Thank you, Ms. Golden. Our next speaker is Rebecca Jasso Aguilar, followed by Victoria Hagan. Ms. Aguilar, if you can, I see your camera's on. If you mute yourself, your 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Borrego, Albuquerque councilors. My name is Rebecca Jasso Aguilar, and I am a member of the Alliance for Local Economic Prosperity. Mr. Don Harris is my city councilor. Until recently, a rather common view has been that our financial system works just fine. I sincerely hope that the recession caused by this terrible pandemic has changed this view. City of Albuquerque councilors, I respectfully urge you to support Memorial M26 for a state public bank in New Mexico. Now more than ever, we need a financial system that helps New Mexico weather financial crises and recessions. More than ever, we need New Mexicans to have a financial system that not only allows us to access our public dollars to invest in our businesses, to create wealth and to recycle it in our state, but one that assures us that it will have our backs in our most dire times of need. Let's join the states and cities that have become smart about using their public dollars to improve the lives of their residents and their public revenues. Let's keep our small businesses and farms up and running. Let's help our community banks and credit unions thrive and multiply. A public bank can do this. Please support a state public bank for New Mexico. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Hagan, please proceed with your comments. Your 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking. Ms. Victoria Hagan, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I guess I'm not on screen.
Okay, if you want to proceed with your comments. Please proceed with your comments, Ms. Hagan.
Okay, yes. Councilor Borrego and other councilors, I'm happy to be able to talk to you about Memorial for the public bank, urging you to support this. I'm also a member of AFLEP as the preceding speaker, and this is a very important tool. A public bank would be a very important tool, a powerful tool, because as other speakers have said, this will enable us to leverage our tax deposits. And so we will be able to, with a deposit of 100 million, say we can have up to 500 million available for loans. Also, the state bank will be supporting and strengthening our credit unions because it will increase the availability of capital. And this capital will be for low-cost small businesses and agricultural loans throughout the state. A public bank will allow us to invest in ourselves and help us build a stronger economy and better opportunities in our state. And one example is the Bank of North Dakota, which has been in existence for over 100 years. And this state is very much like ours in that it has a very, it's rural-like, and it depends on much oil deposits and so on for its income. But it, while we have our state has among the highest rates of poverty, North Dakota is among the lowest, even though the state is very similar to us. But it has had a public bank helping its economy prosper for over 100 years, as I pointed out. So anyway,
thank you, ma'am. Your time is up. Thank you. Our next speaker is Paul Stoll, followed by Dan Mayfield. Mr. Stoll, feel free to turn on your video and unmute yourself, and your 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking. Mr. Paul Stoll, are you there?
Yes, I am here. I don't believe I have video, but that's okay.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Honorable President Cynthia Borrego from the 5th District, where I live, and all of our honorable City Council members. My name is Paul Stoll, and I am the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Credit Union Association of New Mexico. I represent 40 credit unions across the state with over 900,000 members. Credit unions believe very strongly in the establishment of a public bank for New Mexico. And I would urge you today to please join us with other municipalities in seeking the approval of a public bank. Credit unions believe that the creation of jobs and the growth of businesses are quite sustainable under a model which the public bank would offer. I would require no investment of tax dollars that we don't already have, and it would put those to work right here in Albuquerque and in New Mexico. Sustainable is the key. We want growth in jobs, growth in businesses, and growth in the future of New Mexico. So I urge you to please join with other municipalities in approving and endorsing the idea of a public bank for New Mexico. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I would just like to welcome Mr. Stoll, who I've worked with for many years. He is one of my constituents, and he has really led the credit unions in New Mexico to see, a brighter tomorrow, I guess, and it helped to increase our membership for credit unions, which I serve on a credit union board. And he's just a great guy. So I just want to say hello to Mr. Stoll tonight.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dan Mayfield. Feel free to turn your video back on. Your 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking, and you'll be followed by Miss Nicole Rogers.
Congratulations, Madam President, on your election. My name is Dan Mayfield. I'm the Vice President of Government Affairs of the Credit Union Association of New Mexico. And I'm here today to voice our support for Memorial M26 and the support of a public bank in New Mexico. Access to capital is key to growing our economy in New Mexico and in Albuquerque, and a state bank will do just that. It will help economic development issues, it will help small businesses, it will put people to work, and it will keep New Mexico's money working right here in New Mexico. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayfield. Our next speaker is Nicole Rogers, followed by Asia Brooks. Ms. Rogers, feel free to turn on your video and unmute yourself, and your 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking.
Hello, my name is Nicole Rogers, and I am the founder of Wellstand Foundation, and I'm here to give my support for the Crown Act. And I want to first thank Councilwoman Lana Sena for helping us get this started and really help Albuquerque be the leader in this instead of, waiting for the federal government to do it in Congress. So I just want to tell you, I grew up here in New Mexico. I'm born and raised in New Mexico. I am a mother of 2 African-American children growing up in New Mexico. I have a 12-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. And hair discrimination is a thing for them even now, right now. I mean, I just had a situation at my son's school that I want to share with you. I know we only have a short amount of time, but I took him to school. Usually his hair is pulled back, and he's here with me today. And so normally it's pulled back like it is today, but he decided one day he wanted to wear it out with his afro and its full glory. So I said, sure, let's do that. We go to school, and the kids, of course, because it's different from what they normally see him in, say, oh, what's wrong with Elijah's hair? It's weird. And I wait for the teacher to intervene, right? And the teacher doesn't say anything because how do you handle that, right? It's awkward for teachers. But another kid chimed in and said, oh, it is weird. And so then I felt I needed to chime in because his self-worth and his self-esteem is important to me. And so I said to the child, it's okay. It's not weird. It's just different from yours. His hair is magical and it grows to the sun. And she kind of just looked at me and was like, oh, okay, and smiled, and it stopped it, right? The kids stopped worrying about his hair and wanting to touch it and things like that. But it's a small story that may not seem like it matters, but it does matter. Because if my son, if nobody was there to intervene with him, he would have believed something was wrong with his hair. He would have believed his hair was weird. He would have believed that there was something wrong with him when there wasn't. And so I'm just passionate about this because it matters for the workforce as well, because once they get into the workforce, it does matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Asia Brooks, followed by Clifton Chadwick. Ms. Brooks, feel free to turn your video, unmute yourself, and your 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Please proceed.
Okay, wonderful. Hello, esteemed members of the council. My name is Asia Brooks, and I'm the president of the New Mexico Black Lawyers Association. I would like to urge you to amend the Albuquerque Human Rights Ordinance to prohibit discrimination based on hair, also known as the Crown Act amendments. CROWN is an acronym. It stands for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair, and is a nationwide movement to end hair discrimination in the workplace and in schools. The act was created to protect Black girls and women with natural hair from being disciplined in schools and to protect them from being fired and not hired in the workplace. 7 other states have passed the CROWN Act: California, New York, New Jersey, Colorado, Washington, Virginia, and Maryland. And a number of cities have passed the act, including Akron and Cincinnati, Ohio, New Orleans, Louisiana, and Kansas City, Missouri. Why, do you ask, do we need this in New Mexico? Hair discrimination in New Mexico is real, as you heard from Ms. Rogers. There are negative perceptions of Black people and people of color based on their hair's deviation from European standards of beauty. I'm originally from Hobbs, New Mexico, and I have grown up as a minority, in New Mexico. And I grew up knowing my hair was different from others. As a child, I had been teased about it. As an adult, I've had people try to come up and touch it without permission. So it is a thing that we need to fix in New Mexico. I also have a son. He is 13 months old now, and I don't want him to have to experience having negative perceptions of his hair in school and later on when he starts to get a job. So I would just ask that you please amend this act. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Clifton Chadwick, followed by Angela Merkert. Mr. Chadwick, please, I see your video's on. Your 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all of the counselors for their service. I'm in Councilor Benton's district. And since 1990, I've worked helping local independent businesses promote their goods and services. That perspective caused me to become increasingly worried as global players came to town and reduced our local options, both as consumers and as job seekers. That led to my involvement in the Buy Local effort to prevent economic leakage where our money leaves our community. That same economic leakage is taking place in the banking world. I personally use a credit union. I encourage everybody to do that, but that is not an option for state revenues. Banking consolidation has left the state with no local options. Revenues are currently held by too big to fail Wall Street banks, which were bailed out by taxpayers at the end of 2008. And further, they have been enabled to take state revenues and other depositors' money and speculate in the highly risky global derivatives markets and the like. So worse, municipalities like Albuquerque are at the back of the line for being reimbursed in the event of a bank failure. So our money's at significant risk. So in addition to putting New Mexicans' money to work for New Mexico, a state public bank would keep our deposits safely out of the increasingly fragile global banking economy. I strongly urge the council to help assure Albuquerque's and New Mexico's financial welfare is safe by adopting Council Bill M2006, urging the New Mexico state legislatures to establish a public bank during the 2021 legislative session. Thank you very much. I'm ready for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chadwick. Our next speaker is Angela Merkert. Please feel free to turn your video back on, unmute yourself, and you'll be followed by Luisa Barcelo. Ms. Merkert, please proceed. Your 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking.
Thank you. And thank you, Council President Borrego and other councilors. I'm a constituent of District 1 and also Executive Director of Alliance for Local Economic Prosperity, which is think tank developing the public bank for New Mexico. Today, a memorial regarding a state public bank has been introduced to the council, Memorial 26. I urge you to review that memorial and give it your approval later this month. We have an opportunity to strengthen and expand our state's financial ability to more fully fund community and economic development throughout our state and address the many needs that are especially becoming evident through this pandemic. We can bring more focus, effectiveness, and efficiency to our financial system and to our economic development funding if we house our economic development programs in such a bank. Currently, our economic developments are spread across 4 to 5 different agencies or groups who are actually dispensing those funds for the state. With the state public bank, we can be stronger stewards of our own revenues, and we can keep our revenue safe, local, and working for New Mexicans. We will also be able to strengthen our community banks and credit unions through the partnerships that we develop, because we'll be increasing the capacity of their ability to enhance their lending power as well. We will also be creating community wealth in contrast to only individual wealth, which is what the commercial banks are doing now for their stockholders. I urge you to consider this, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you very much. Our last speaker is Luisa Barcelo. Please feel free to turn your video on, unmute yourself, and your 1.5 minutes will begin when you start speaking. If you could unmute yourself, ma'am. I think you're still muted on your end.
I think I'm unmuted now.
There you go. Please proceed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councilman, for allowing me to speak today about supporting the Public Bank Memorial M26. I have spent many years lobbying Congress on behalf of issues having to do with the poor. And I want to, in some ways, talk about how a public bank is in a way, a higher form of microcredit. I know you all know that word, and I can tell you that I was part of a group that met with our federal legislators to introduce that concept. I see public banking as a way that we can ensure our communities. We have many communities where we have racial inequality and economic inequality. And I would be most thrilled if those particular communities were able to access more money. And I understand that a public bank would offer loans to people in our beautiful New Mexico community who have not had access to funds. Having access to money is a critical aspect of alleviating poverty. So is healthcare, and so is education. A public bank, because of its broad range and capacity to make loans that other loaning institutions cannot make, could make a hugely different, sustainable and diverse economy.
Thank you, Ms.
for our
Barkalow. Your
state.
time is up. Not yet. Mr. Payne, we've just let you in the meeting. I know you are going to be speaking on something later on this evening, but would you like to just speak now on the nuisance abatement property?
Actually, Mr. Moya, Mr. Payne, before you do that, can you hear me okay? This is Pat Davis.
I can, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Payne, can you tell us, we're just trying to be sure we get you in the right place in our agenda tonight. Are you the property owner at that location, or are you?
I am.
What's your role here? We're just trying to be sure we get you in the right place in our agenda tonight.
I want to speak against the condemning property on 318 Mesilla Street.
Okay, and just can you clarify for me, what's your role there? Are you a property owner or a family owner?
I'm the property owner, yes.
Okay. Normally what we'll need to do is if you are the property owner, we will bring you back into the meeting when we get to that agenda item so that the planning department can address their concerns and counselors can ask you questions. So I'll give you the option. You can have a comment now, but you won't have it, but you won't be able to speak later during other questions, or you can hang out with us for a little while. And when we get to that item, you can speak and counselors can ask you questions. It's totally up to you.
I'll wait for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Payne. We're glad you're here. Hang in with us. It may be a bit, but we'll be there. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mr. President, that concludes general public comments.
Thank you, counselors, and thank you to our commenters. Next up on our agenda usually is economic development discussions. We have none, followed by administration Q&A. Before we go any farther, we didn't have any counselors submit any questions ahead of time, but the chair would recognize any counselor that has any at this moment. Going once, going twice, and Madam Vice President, we have you up for the journal.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So I will move approval for the journal from our last meeting.
Thank you, ma'am. And do I have a second? Thank you, Councilor Bassan. I appreciate that. Councilors, any other discussion? And seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilor Bassan.
Yes.
Councilor Benton.
Yes.
Councilor Borrego.
Yes.
Councilor Gibson.
Yes.
Councilor Harris. Councilor Harris. Councilor Jones.
Yes.
Councilor Pena.
Yes.
Councilor Sena.
Yes.
Councilor Davis.
Yes.
8-0.
Thank you, councilors. We're going to move on to communications and introduction. We have a few, Councilor Benton, myself, and then we have Councilor Gibson. Councilor Benton, you're on deck. Communication and introductions. Are there changes to the letter of introduction?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules be suspended for the purpose of placing R126 on tonight's agenda for action. R126 is amending the adopted capital implementation program of the city by supplementing current appropriations.
Thank you. And do we have a second for that motion? Madam Vice President, Councilor Gibson is a second. Councilors, any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll need 2/3 of councilors present. Madam Clerk, would you please call the vote?
Counselor Bassan.
Yes.
Counselor Benton.
Yes.
Counselor Borrego.
Yes.
Counselor Gibson.
Yes.
Counselor Harris. Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Pena.
Yes.
Counselor Senna.
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Yeah.
8-0.
Thank you. I move the rules be suspended for the purpose of placing EC 227 on tonight's agenda for action. 227 is the mayor's recommendation of award to McGriff, Seibels, and Williams for group benefits consultant. Do we have a second? Thank you, Councilor Gibson, Madam Vice President. I appreciate that. Seeing no other discussion, Madam Clerk.
Counselor Bassan.
Yes.
Counselor Benton.
Yes.
Counselor Borrego.
Yes.
Counselor Gibson.
Yes.
Counselor Harris. Counselor Jones. Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Thank you. Counselor Pena.
Yes.
Counselor Senna.
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
8-0.
Thank you. Councilors, are there any other changes to the letter of introduction? Seeing none, Madam Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move approval of the letter of introduction.
Thank you, Council. Thank you for that second, Madam Clerk.
Counselor Bassan.
Yes.
Counselor Benton.
Yes.
Counselor Borrego.
Yes.
Counselor Gibson.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Pena.
Yes.
Counselor Senna.
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
9-0.
Sorry, I'm trying to check out a couple of other technical things here. Councilors, we're going to move on to reports of committees. Madam Chair, Councilor Senna.
Thank you. The Public Safety Committee met on Tuesday, December 15th and reports out the following items. In the matter of OC 18 and OC 19, that the receipt be noted, and make a motion to accept the committee reports.
Second.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Councilor Jones. Madam Clerk.
Counselor Bassan.
Yes.
Counselor Benton.
Yes.
Counselor Borrego.
Yes.
Counselor Gibson.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Pena.
Yes.
Counselor Senna.
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
9-0.
Councilors, are there any deferrals or withdrawals at this time? First on the list, I will move a deferral until February 1st of 046. 046 adds a chapter to the revised ordinances of the city of Albuquerque by creating the tax repairs and consumer rights ordinance. Do I have a second for a deferral until February 1st? Councilor Gibson, thank you. Madam Clerk.
Counselor Bassan.
Yes.
Counselor Benton.
Yes.
Counselor Borrego.
Yes.
Counselor Gibson.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Pena.
Yes.
Counselor Senna.
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
9-0.
Councilor Senna.
I'm moving a deferral on R18, a nuisance substandard dwelling or structure in need of abatement at 5609 Everett Road, Northwest 87120. As we had talked to the property owner, this is moving for a sale, so I'm deferring this.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Councilor Jones, had a second? Thank you. Councilors, any other discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Counselor Bassan.
Yes.
Counselor Benton.
Yes.
Counselor Borrego.
Yes.
Counselor Gibson.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Pena.
Yes.
Counselor Senna.
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
9-0.
Thank you. And I would move a deferral until March 1st of R22. R22 is a nuisance substandard dwelling or structure in need of abatement at 412 Georgia Street Southeast. Councilor Jones, are you second that as well?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. And thanks, Councilor Pena, for that as well. Councilor C, or Councilor Pena, did you want to discuss, or was that just a second?
Actually, no, not on this issue, but I did have a question. Oh, a deferral.
Okay, let me do this one. We'll come straight to you. Madam Clerk, there's no other discussion on the motion for deferral of R22. Would you please call that vote?
Yes, sir. Counselor Bassan.
Yes.
Counselor Benton.
Yes.
Counselor Borrego.
Yes.
Counselor Gibson.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Pena.
Yes.
Counselor Sena.
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
9-0.
Councilor Pena.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to defer R85 supplementing priorities for the capital implementation program of the city of Albuquerque by implementing a racial equity criterion to be used in the development of the plan.
Thank you, ma'am. And do you have a date or how long you'd like to defer that? I see Councilor Sena is going to second it no matter what.
2 weeks.
January 20th, a number of seconds. I saw Councilor Sena's first, so we'll take that. Any other councilors want to discuss that at deferral? I think the others were just seconds. And so we will ask the clerk to call the vote.
Counselor Bassan.
Yes.
Counselor Benton.
Yes.
Counselor Borrego.
Yes.
Counselor Gibson.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Pena.
Yes.
Counselor Sena.
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
9-0 on the deferral.
Thank you, councilors. Any other deferrals or withdrawals? Councilor Benton.
Thank you, Mr. President. On 041, amending sections of the Selection Advisory Committee ordinance to incorporate design build services into the Selection Advisory Committee process, I move a deferral until February 1st.
I'm sorry, Councilor Benton, just clarify the date for us. January 20th or February 1st?
No, let's see, February 1st is the second meeting from now, right?
That's correct. Yes, sir. So it'll be February 1st. Thanks for clarifying. And second is, I saw Councilor Borrego and heard Councilor Jones. I'll let the clerk pick the one she wants and call the vote.
Counselor Bassan.
Yes.
Counselor Benton.
Yes.
Counselor Borrego.
Yes.
Counselor Gibson.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Pena.
Yes.
Counselor Sena.
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
Thank you. 9-0 on the deferral.
Thank you. Councilors, we're going to move to, are there any other deferrals and withdrawals that weren't filed early? I don't see any. Okay, thanks. Councilors, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. There are a number of individuals on tonight's consent agenda who are being appointed to serve on boards and commissions. We know that many of you watch us from home, and we want to thank you for your willingness to serve. I promise one day we'll get you in here in person to say thank you. It may be your next term, but we will get you here. In the meantime, thanks from us to you for your volunteer and your service on our boards. Councilors, is there any other changes to the consent agenda? If there are none, I recognize Madam Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you. Madam President Borrego, thank you for that second. Madam Clerk, would you please call the vote?
Counselor Bassan.
Yes.
Counselor Benton.
Yes.
Counselor Borrego.
Yes.
Counselor Gibson.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Pena.
Yes.
Counselor Sena.
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
9-0.
Thank you. Councilors, we're on to announcements, and so we will take them in this order. Counselor Gibson, Counselor Sena, Counselor Jones, and then any other counselor. Counselor Gibson, you have an announcement?
Yes, Mr. President, I do. There will be a Finance and Government Operations Committee meeting on Monday, January 11th at 3 p.m. via Zoom.
Thank you. Counselor Sena.
There will be a Public Safety Committee meeting on Tuesday, January 12th at 3 p.m. via Zoom.
Thank you. Counselor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do not have that in front of me. Would you make my announcement for me, please?
Of course, I think you're holding a land use planning and zoning committee on Wednesday, the 13th at 3 p.m. via Zoom.
Oh my goodness, yes, I am. Thank you.
Excellent. Counselors, any other announcements? Seeing none, we're going to move to the fun part. Mr. Melendrez, you're on deck, and we're going to, when we bring you up, we will get our public hearing started. So for folks that are participating here, we'll give it just a second. I see Mr. Melendrez is here. Mr. Melendrez, to get us started, this will be AC 2013, Mr. Walter Gallegos appealing the zoning hearing examiner's decision relating to a wall variance at a property at 3812 Zion Court Northeast. Mr. Melendrez, would you please explain these two items for us, and then we'll get into the options for the council.
Sure, Mr. President. It's just one appeal, the AC 2013. I think the facts are relatively straightforward. There's a test that's required in the IDO in order for the city to grant a wall height variance. And the LUHO found that the evidence that was submitted did not meet the requirements within the IDO. The request here is to allow a 6-foot vinyl fence on what is effectively a corner side yard. So that would be a side yard of a single family residential lot that abuts in this case, a local street. And so this lot is located on the corner. The IDO requires that if you place a wall within the required yard area on a corner lot, such as this one, that the maximum wall height is 3 feet. However, you can get a variation to that requirement if you can demonstrate a few things. One is that 20% of the properties within 330 feet of your site have walls that already are greater than 3 feet. In other words, the prevalence of the higher wall is something that is characteristic of the neighborhood already. Another is that the proposed wall is architecturally integrated to the character of the area and that it does not cause harm. In this particular instance, the LUHO determined that approximately a minimum of 6 other instances of walls in excess of 3 feet must have been identified within 330 feet. And the LUHO paid really close attention to the evidence, identified that there were 4 walls that may qualify. However, amongst the 4, 3 were actually not front yard walls as required by the IDO in order to be counted. And the 4th actually did not exceed 3 feet. So the LUHO determined that the IDO test could not be satisfied based on those facts. And in addition, the proposed wall was a vinyl fence and the other walls in the area are largely wood or block. The vinyl will have a different color, a different sheen, a different massing. And so it's not architecturally integrated. So the LUHO is recommending that this matter be denied, that the variance be denied. The City Council will not hear from the parties tonight. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer those from the record. Otherwise, you'll be voting only to accept or reject the LUHO's recommendation in this matter. If you vote to reject the LUHO recommendation, we can schedule this for a full hearing at a later date.
Mr. Melendrez, thank you very much. And I see Councilor Benton has his hand raised, so we'll go to him for a comment or a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to accept the LUHO's recommendation and findings.
Second that.
A number of seconds, but I heard Councilor Jones first, so we'll take that. Thank you. The motion on the floor is to accept the LUHO recommendations and findings. Mr. Melendrez, I had a question, could you just, it wasn't clear in the write-up and it wasn't apparent to me in the record. Is it clear why Mr. Gallegos wanted this particular style or type of fence, like that vinyl fence? Or is it just or is that not in the record? Is there a special reason why this seemed important and deserved a variance?
Mr. President, the specific reason that vinyl was chosen is not well developed. The record does indicate that a block return wall used to exist between the home that exists on that property and the rear wall. And it does indicate that the property owner felt that that wall did not provide sufficient privacy for the backyard and that it had become deteriorated and need to be replaced. But it was not well developed why vinyl was specifically chosen and why the extension into the side yard was chosen as well. That wasn't part of the requirement of what needed to be shown.
Thank you, Ms. Melendez, and I apologize. I won't go any farther than this, but let me ask one more question. So if the variance is denied, the homeowner could go back and try to replace the original fence, or at least on the original location, not extending into a side yard, best as we understand. Is that right?
Mr. President, that's absolutely correct. Where the prior wall existed, the height restriction would not exist. So that wall could be replaced without any problem.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me go down that a minute. Councilors, any other questions? My Zoom moderator's gone, so we're just going to leave those hands up for a second, but that's okay. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, the motion on the floor is to accept the LUHO recommendations and findings, and seeing no other conversation or discussion, I'll ask you to call the vote.
Councilor Bassan.
Yes.
Councilor Benton.
Yes.
Councilor Borrego.
Yes.
Councilor Gibson.
Yes.
Councilor Harris.
Yes.
Councilor Jones.
Yes.
Councilor Pena.
Yes.
Councilor Sena.
Yes.
Councilor Davis.
Yes.
9-0.
Councilors, we're doing well to move through our agenda pretty quickly. Tonight, there are no approvals and final actions. Item A was deferred. Item F was deferred. That leaves us, Madam Clerk, with item C. Is that right? Thank you. Councilor Sena, 047, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you for that. 047 is amending the Albuquerque Human Rights Ordinance to prohibit discrimination based on racial and cultural attributes associated with hair types, styles, and hairdresses. I move a do pass.
I see Councilor, Madam President, Borrego, and some others, Councilor Pena, are also seconding. Councilors, well, let's go back to Councilor Sena. You want to introduce your bill, tell us a little more about it, and then we'll go to Councilor questions and come back to you for a close, ma'am.
Thank you for that. As we had heard with some of our public commenters, that this is an ongoing issue, even though we have laws and statutes that do protect this type of discrimination. It's critical that it's laid out in this ordinance and that it's here within the city, so that we stand in a firm commitment to address discrimination based on race-based hairstyles. It was a very interesting conversation when community leaders brought this to my attention. It was led by Black women as well as youth leaders that have been facing this for so long. Then they brought it to my attention that there's been a national movement in supporting the Crown Act, which is creating a respectful and open world for natural hair. So I hope that I can get your support, and I urge it, as this impacts not only our students, our youth, but also our women and Black communities within the city.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilors, we're going to open it up for questions for the sponsor or for the staff or administration. Councilor Benton, and then Madam President, Councilor Borrego. We'll begin with Councilor Benton.
Thank you, Mr. President. A question for the sponsor. Did I hear correctly that there are current laws prohibiting this type of discrimination?
Yes, and actually I have our city attorney, Tori Jacobus with the Office of Civil Rights to kind of talk more about that.
Okay.
She worked closely with us as well as our staff, Chris Melendez, to draft this. I don't see her here, but if she is here, she can address your question.
I'm here, Councilor Sena. Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Benton, for your question. So yes, there is some limited federal guidance right now that protects natural hair textures. And a Crown Act amendment is pending through the House right now, has passed through the federal House, and we are waiting for it to proceed. Additionally, there is similar legislation that is going to come before the state legislature this upcoming session. And then in addition, natural hair has been included as race-based discrimination in that limited federal legislation that I mentioned. Our Crown Act amendments would take that limited guidance and make them much more transparent and much more understanding for our community members, our educators, and our business owners.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms.
Very
President.
welcome.
Thank you. And next up, we have Madam President Borrego and then Councilor Jones.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to just thank Councillor Senna for bringing this forward. I know that she mentioned that, it was women of color, I think you said. And for someone who has pretty wild hair, and I do, I mean, this took like an hour just to get it straight today, but I think it's really important that people are accepted for who they are, and I think that this really encourages that. And I'm excited that you brought this forward, Counselor. Thank you for that.
Thank you, ma'am. Counselor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have a problem with the legislation itself. I just once again want to make the point that if we have federal legislation, we're obviously looking at, I have read state legislation, and then we have city legislation. I would certainly, and we'll probably have county legislation. I think, again, I have no problem with the concept. I believe it is foolhardy to have 4 different pieces of legislation that could be interpreted differently and therefore enforced differently or not enforced. And I wonder if the sponsor would consider working with the state and the county and whomever else is considering this to make sure that we have a homogeneous or homogeneous, as some people say, piece of legislation that is easily enforceable if need be. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, counselors. Counselors, last call for any comments or questions, and then if not, we'll go back to the sponsor for the close. Seeing none, Counselor Senna, I just want to say thank you as well. I had the chance to speak to some folks that called today, including a state representative, as you know, who was very excited to see that you were doing this here on a local level and hope build some momentum and some encouragement for the state legislature to follow your lead. So thank you for doing this. Makes perfect sense for us to stand up and ensure that we're protecting the opportunity for everybody to be who they want to be and represent themselves in their own way. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Davis. I'll use this time to close as well. We can be champions and leaders in this movement, as we heard from our speakers, that regardless if there was state or federal statutes, it still persists. And I think that if we have the authority and ability to do so and address this here within the city and be champions of it, then of course we should do so. The coalition that actually brought this to my attention is actually working with the state. It's a group, a collective of Black women, youth as well, that have been championing this nationally and locally. So they have been working with our state legislators to work on something. In fact, we've actually drafted it so that they've got really great hints as to how they can actually draft theirs as well. So I want to reach out to, of course, the coalition for the Black women that have led this and really being able to share their stories, how this has profoundly impacted them, their children as well. Hearing that Black women are 1.5 times more likely to be sent home from the workplace because of their hair, or Black women's hair is perceived 3.4 times more likely as unprofessional. It's stating clearly that we have a lot of work to do when it comes to addressing structural racism. And I believe that this gets there, especially with the backing of the city and us as leaders and champions of that, so that we can bring the city to a more equitable city. So thank you, and thank you to also the many people involved in this. I really appreciate you and all of our guest speakers today. So with that, I urge your support.
Thank you, ma'am. Counselor, seeing no other discussion, Madam Ms. Ortega, would you please call the vote?
Councillor Bassan.
Yes.
Councillor Benton.
Yes.
Councillor Borrego.
Yes.
Councillor Gibson.
Yes.
Councillor Harris.
Yes.
Councillor Jones.
Yes.
Councillor Pena.
Yes.
Councillor Senna.
Yes.
Councillor Davis.
Yes.
9-0.
Thank you. Congratulations, Councillor Senna. Councillor Pena, you're up, R113.
Thank you, Mr. President. R113 is establishing the federal priority programming policy priorities for the city of Albuquerque for federal fiscal years 2021 and 2022. I actually have a couple of amendments to add before we have any discussion. So I guess, do we need a second?
Yep. Councilor Borrego will offer your second. Councilor Pena, back to you.
Okay, so floor amendment number 1 is the following documents are attached to resolution 2013. And I don't know if we want to pull it up on the screen or if they had intended to do it, or if not, I'll just read the entire thing. So what this does is
I'm sorry, Councilor Pena, just give us just a second. We are going to share that for you.
Okay.
Just there we go. Mr. Moya has shared it, so it's up to you. It's not required that you read it, but you certainly could if you'd like. There, we have the attachments available if you need.
Okay, so that's amendment number 1. You know, just has a few just minor changes to the resolution. Attachment 1, what we did is that when we initially introduced this, we didn't have all the programming that we were going to ask for. So these are just attachments listing all the requests from the city. And this could be used as a tool for our federal lobbyists when they're out there looking for grants that pertain to us.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilor Benton, are you offering a second or have a question?
Question, Mr. President. I'll second that, but question or a comment, I guess. I do appreciate the addition of the statement about the CARES Act. And I really, you know, we have a new delegation to Washington to a great extent right now. And even the representative from the Southern District. I think we should band together with the other cities and make sure that each and every one of our congressional and senatorial delegation understands how important this is for us to, for municipalities to be helped through legislation such as the CARES Act. And we're going to be in a world of hurt potentially without that this year. It's going to be a very tough year. So my condolences to the new chair of the CAL, if that happens, especially. So it's really important that we strongly emphasize this, and again, especially to our 2 and soon to be 3 new members of the delegation. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Benton. Mr. Pena, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, current committee of the whole chair. Yes, I agree with you. I think it's really important that we do that, and it is in the resolution. I have another amendment that really talks about the shortfall. So it's already in there, but we want to kind of emphasize more. So it's actually the next amendment if this one passes. So this is just purely, I was looking for all my paperwork, but this is just purely when we introduced the resolution, we didn't have all the requests from all the counselors, and this just lists out all the requests. And I'm sure that it's online with you know, in terms of housing, public safety, fire assistance, recreation, land improvements, conservation, you know, obviously a whole host of things that are important to making sure that our city thrives. And then we have some additional requests from each of the counselors and projects that are important to them. Obviously, some of the ones with myself and drainage and just a whole host of things. So it's several pages, but it's a lot of good things, a lot of good thought that's put in by each of the counselors in the respective districts about what they feel that we need, and obviously the request from the administration as well. So good reading. So I urge your support on this first, this amendment.
Thank you, ma'am. Amendment number 1 is on the floor with a second and seeing no other discussion. Mr. Ortega, would you please call the vote for the floor amendment number 1?
Councilor Bassan.
Yes.
Councilor Benton.
Yes.
Councilor Borrego.
Yes.
Councilor Gibson. Excused. Councilor Harris.
Yes.
Councilor Jones.
Yes.
Councilor Pena.
Yes.
Councilor Sena.
Yes.
Councilor Davis.
Yes.
8-0 on floor amendment 1.
Thank you, Mr. Ortega, and thank you. Yes, Councilor Gibson be excused for the remainder of the meeting. Councilor Pena, you have floor amendment number 2 as well. Would you introduce that one for us as well? And it's shared on the screen.
Thank you, Mr. President. So floor amendment number 2 is much shorter, so I'll go ahead and read that on page 2. Delete lines 33 through 38, and on page 3, lines 1 through 4, and insert the following. Section 3, as stated in the City of Albuquerque Resolution 2036, Attachment 4 to this resolution, the City of Albuquerque continues to encourage the New Mexico congressional delegation to enact legislation providing further assistance to state and local governments to cover budget revenue shortfalls resulting from the economic impacts of COVID-19 pandemic. And this is the explanation for this is it clarifies in section 3 in perspective to the proposals for further federal stimulus bills. So this is really kind of doing exactly what you said, Councilor Benton. It's kind of enhancing and reiterating the importance of doing just that. So I urge your support. I don't know if there was a second, Mr. President.
You had a number of them. I see Councilor Borrego offered one, and I'll take that one there. Councilors, any other discussion on that item? Councilor Benton, is that, oh, there we go. I think we covered this item in discussing the other amendments, so I don't see any other discussion. So we'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilor Bassan.
Yes.
Councilor Benton.
Yes.
Councilor Borrego.
Yes.
Councilor Harris.
Yes.
Councilor Jones.
Yes.
Councilor Pena.
Yes.
Councilor Sena.
Yes.
Councilor Davis.
Yes.
8-0 on amendment number 2.
Thank you. Councilor Pena, we're back on your bill as twice amended. I know we've had some discussion about this, but if there's anything further or if councilors have any other questions, now's the time. Councilors, any questions? If not, Councilor Pena, I see no questions. It is yours to close, ma'am. Councilor Pena, we're missing your microphone.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, this packet we really had to look at it differently this year, as you all know and have been told, is that, you know, they're looking at bringing back, lost the word. Oh, shoot. What's the word for it?
Earmarks.
Earmarks. So they're looking at bringing back earmarks. So what we did is we worked long and hard. Councilor Benton knows this as being part of the IGR, and yourself, Councilor Davis, is that it's just been really important that we kind of used to model this after earmarks. And then, you know, I think we're a little behind the 8 ball in terms of the way it had changed to really just providing grants. And so we worked really hard to evolve this document so that it could reflect the grant opportunities. And now this year they're looking back at bringing back earmarks. So we made sure in this bill that it covered both angles, so that if they do not bring back earmarks, the legislation is still written to where it's important for us to seek grant opportunities for our requests as well. So with that, I urge your support.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you. We appreciate your service, ma'am, as chair of the Relations Committee representing the council. So we appreciate that as we close out this year. Ms. Ortega.
Councilor Bassan.
Yes.
Councilor Benton.
Yes.
Councilor Borrego.
Yes.
Councilor Harris.
Yes.
Councilor Jones.
Yes.
Councilor Pena.
Yes.
Councilor Sena.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilor Davis.
Yes.
8-0 passes as amended.
Thank you. Councilors, we're up on item H, which is R119. R119 requires communications of intra-year administrative rate and fee adjustments to the City Council prior to implementation. I'll move a do pass.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Jones. Have a second. Councilors, let me explain this very briefly if the administration wants to comment, and then we can take this up. Councilors, this is just a notice bill, but essentially what this does is we've seen a number of stories recently. Most recently, some of us will remember the stories about parking zone fee increases or new enforcement of those fees and adjustments of parking, neighborhood parking permits, et cetera, that weren't well noticed to the public as they were trying to get ready to renew those. And so working with some folks in the administration, we structured this in such a way that says that any new fee adjustments that are not a part of the annual budget process will not go into effect until they've been submitted to the City Council and essentially a receipt be noted be taken. that's just common sense. It's transparency. It gives the public a way to weigh in and ensure that no one is surprised. I know the administration's available. They don't oppose this legislation, but I think I saw Councilor Benton, you have a question, but we'll open the floor for questions or anything else. Councilor Benton. Councilor Benton, we're missing your microphone.
Did you have a second, Mr. President? That's what I was doing. I may have missed that.
Yes, Councilor Jones offered a second. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilors, any other discussion or anything from the administration? Going once? Going twice? Seeing none? Ms. Ortega?
Counselor Bassan,
Yes.
Counselor Benton,
Yes.
Counselor Borrego,
Yes.
Counselor Harris,
Yes.
Counselor Jones,
Yes.
Counselor Pena,
Yes.
Counselor Senna,
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
Passes 8-0.
Thank you. Councilors, that was quick and easy. Thank you very much. I think that'll make our process a little more transparent for the public. Councilors, next up is R120. Before we take that up, I'm going to ask Mr. Moya to see if Mr. Payne is still available in the waiting room. If so, we're going to bring him back in as the property owner, and we'll ask our folks from the planning department to also video up so that we can see you. And once we have everybody, I'll introduce this piece of legislation. And Councilor Pena, you had a question from earlier. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Mr. President, I rose my hand because we went through it so fast. Like I told you, I was shuffling through my papers, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank the staff for putting this together, Tom Anacucci and others who worked really hard on the complexity of the federal program. So thank you, guys.
Yes, ma'am. And to our lobbyists and other folks who worked hard on that as well. And thank you to you for working and shepherding that through with Ms. Nair and others. Thank you so much. I see Mr. Williams, Director Williams. I'm waiting to see if we can find Mr. Payne again.
I'm here.
Mr. Payne, welcome. So let me do some procedural things, Mr. Payne, and then we'll give you a chance to, we'll let Mr. Williams give a brief presentation. We'll give you a chance to respond, and councilors can ask either of you questions at that point. Councilors, R120 considers whether R19217, which determined that a nuisance and subcenter dwelling needs the abatement at 318 Mesilla Northeast is so ruined, damaged, and dilapidated as to be a menace to the public comfort, health, safety, that is to be required to be removed, should be enforced or rescinded. I move it do pass.
Second.
I see Councilor Senna. I'll take it. I heard several others. Thank you. Mr. Williams, Director Williams, I'd like to give you the floor. If you could give us a very brief sort of summary of this property. I know we've been at it quite a bit and we've gone through it a lot. So just to keep things moving this evening, if you can help me, we'll try to hold everybody to the 90-second or minute and a half time limit that we do for public comment, some for you and some for Mr. Payne, and then we'll let councilors extend that by question, if that's okay, Mr.
Thank you, Councilor Davis. Councilors, as Councilor Davis mentioned, this is a matter that has been before this council several times. This current appeal, if you will, is a matter that was introduced to the council back in December of 2019. We have a property that is unfit for occupancy. It does not have utilities, and it's been in that condition for at least 2.5 years. Code enforcement has attempted to work with the owner to bring that property back into compliance, have provided them with written notice as to what the problems are and what can be done to correct that. As of the most recent inspection, which occurred last week on December the 31st, the property remains in its condition that caused it to be introduced to this council for condemnation many, many months ago. Would just remind the council that when this matter was at the Finance and Government Operations Committee level, was originally there in February of 2020. At the committee's request, that matter was deferred so that we could reach out to the registered owner of the property one more time to try and connect that owner with services related to mental health and to hoarding. And that interaction took place the day after the Finance and Government Operations Committee meeting. And at that time, which was consistent with requests prior to that, the owner was not interested in that, refused the city's offer on that. Consequently, Because of COVID, the matter was delayed a little bit, but ultimately, council did decide in August of 2020 that the property needed to be condemned because of its current condition and the lack of a plan for the owner to move forward. Currently, there are still about $17,000 in liens against this property. As I mentioned, staff confirmed last week that the property is still not connected to any utilities, water, gas, or electricity, and that the home and the property, including the yards, the front, side, and rear yards, remain in violation. There's a considerable amount of accumulation of litter and debris on the property. We have received no information or no other statements from the owner as to what their plan is to bring this property back into compliance. So again, we're before you as we were several months ago, indicating what the problem is and what the ordinance allows to deal with the issue. And as you heard from general public comment, there are many neighbors that frequently reach out to not only myself personally, but to the department, expressing their concern about the problems that are inherent to the neighborhood because of this property. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Director. Next up, I'm going to ask, give the floor to Mr. Boysenberry Payne, who's the property owner there. And then I'm going to ask Mr. Melendrez, our General Counsel, our legal advisor, to explain the vote here because it's a little backwards, and then we'll have a change of motion on the floor before we move forward. Mr. Payne, welcome. Thanks for being patient with us. I understand you're the owner at this property on Mesilla, so you have 90 seconds, a minute and a half. Go ahead, sir. Let us. Thank you.
So I live down the block. I live down the block and across the street. I don't own the property that's that's in question. What I have is one question for Mr. Williams, which is, what are the liens? Are they state or federal liens, or are they city-based liens? Only because I normal foreclosure would allow someone to take, the property if needed through the liens that, from what I understand, are on state or federal. So I don't know what the liens are for. Also, I've seen, I can see the property from my house. I've seen him clean it up over the last year. He's lived, if I'm not mistaken, in this neighborhood for a very long time and has been a not negative aspect of this neighborhood from the standpoint of not causing anything more than anxiety for a few of the residents that would rather have his property look different than they would have it look. And those two guys that actually were on earlier have been a nuisance to many of my neighbors in the neighborhood by calling council members on their property and the like. I would suggest that Mr. John Gallegos, who was very friendly to me, is a good part of our neighborhood, should not have his property demolished, especially during the time of COVID, when he probably most likely has severe mental disabilities and actually needs help, not to be put on the street. Now, if he is offering help to other homeless people in the area, that would be another way to get people off of the street. Now, mind you, might not be safe. I don't know what's wrong with the property. From a visual from my house, which is right across the street, I don't see anything that makes me feel like it's a public danger.
Mr. Payne, you have 15 seconds remaining.
That's all I have to say. And thank you and congratulations. Thank you for your service and congratulations on your election.
Thank you, Mr. Payne. I think we had some misunderstanding that you're not the property owner, but you're a neighbor. So we're going to take that as a public comment. And I'll ask Mr. Moya, if he will, at this point, to move you back to the waiting room where you can monitor the discussion and counselors can ask some of the follow-up questions if they so choose. So we'll let Mr. Moya do that. And Director, you moved on my screen. Director Williams, very quickly, can you clarify for us those liens that the neighbors mentioned in this comment and earlier? Those are city liens that we've talked about before in terms of the cost to clean up that property for health and safety reasons. Is that
Madam President, Councilor Davis, that is correct, sir. Those are municipal liens. Those come in any number of, or those result in any number of ways. The city of Albuquerque, our solid waste department, has been out to the property several times to clean it because the owner won't do it. And because of that, code enforcement has a permanent injunction for as long as the current owner owns this property to be able to providing notice to the owner, but to go in and clean the property of any violations that are noted there because of the continued ongoing problems that we've had with this property and the non-compliance from the owner to to keep the yards free from litter and debris. We're now focused on the home because that is now a problem. And again, as I mentioned, the home is uninhabitable. It cannot be lived in, not only based on the condition of the home and what we feel is inside the home, but it's not connected to any utilities whatsoever.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Melendrez, really quickly, we're not going to dwell on this item too long, but I just want to clarify because it's a little unusual way the vote counts here. And I actually made the motion in order to get our conversation started, and I sponsored this in order to give us a full opportunity to review the actions. But the votes on this are kind of backwards, if essentially, right? A vote for would rescind our earlier motion, and a vote against would allow us to move forward on the condemnation and the action. But would you clarify that for us, and I'll fix the motion on the floor, and then we can move forward.
Certainly, Mr. President. I think that the motion is proper. So just to kind of give the background as you requested, the City Council already did find that this property was substandard, that it constituted a nuisance, and then it needed to be remedied and essentially removed from that property. The rules that apply to this process authorize a sort of second bite at the apple, if you will. That's what tonight is facilitating. The only question tonight is whether or not you want to rescind that prior resolution. Based on the motion that's on the floor to do pass, you would need to vote down that motion in order to uphold your prior action.
All right. So if everybody followed us here, the motion is to do pass, but I don't want you to vote yes. I want you to vote no, and I'll vote no, but I vote last, so that doesn't matter. Is that right, Mr. Melendrez? If we want to continue our actions going forward, we're going to vote no on the motion for yes.
Mr. President, that is correct. You would vote no on the motion, and that would proceed with remedying this nuisance property.
That's great. Thank you. And I know councilors may have their own opinions, but I know this is something we've dealt with. I see Director Whalen is here. His team have been cleaning that property for some time, and we've heard from them. Thank you, Director, for sticking around with us. And if councilors have questions, so Councilor Benton and then Councilor Bassan, and if there are no others, then we'll move to a vote. Councilor Benton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Williams, you mentioned contacts were made with regard to the person, the occupant and owner, I guess, with regard to mental health issues and so forth. And so was outreach done through I'm asking about another department now, but through Family Community Services or through the county or anything like that?
Councilor Benton, the short answer is yes. When the matter was at the committee level, there was a specific request that we the city, we the planning department, coordinate with both Family Community Services as well as the police department to make one more effort to reach out to the owner. But I can tell you as well that whether it's interactions with our code enforcement division over the years, I myself have talked with the owner about the possibility of gauging his interest in getting some sort of assistance. It's just kind of periodic every time we're at the property or we're communicating directly for him to make that offer or make that request. And the last time that happened, it was in coordination with the police department and Family and Community Services. But again, all those times, at least to my knowledge, there's never been an affirmation or an acceptance of that. It's always been very nice discussion. But the owner has just not wanted the offer or the assistance that's been offered.
Thank you. Thank you, Brennan, and thanks, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Bassan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm hearing from the constituent before regarding this property. I remember when this was before FGO, and I remember the pictures that were provided to us. And at that time, and it still is, and I know that you've said this, Director, but it was uninhabitable. There's no electricity. There's there's dead carcasses on the roof. There are trash. I mean, it's very hard for me to believe that this is not a health problem for the remainder and the surrounding area. And the fact that Outreach has been sent and it has been declined. Services have been offered, but they have been declined. Something else needs to happen, in my opinion, because I think that this absolutely seems, from the descriptions and from what has been confirmed for almost a year now, in just my experience, there is definitely with rodents and whatever else may or may not be living there as well, that could alone be considered a hazard to people's health living around and in the surrounding area.
Thank you, Councilor Bassan. I agree. Councilors, any other discussion? Any other discussion? Thank you all. This has been an ongoing process. I was just reminiscing with Mr. Moya here, who used to be the analyst for Councilor Garduno. Councilor Garduno inherited this problem from Councilor Heinrich, who inherited it from his predecessor. It's something that the neighborhood's been dealing with since at least 2004 and escalated. And certainly we appreciate all the city staff who've really given it an extraordinary amount of time. But I think we do have to do something different here. I just might ask, I see Mr. Kuhn from City Legal and ADAPT program, and just place a note here, Mr. Kuhn, if you're listening, you don't have to come in, but the district court has a new behavioral health court system with the public defender's office. That I think would be excellent for this and helping to figure out the proper resources and services when we get into one of these health situations where someone's not able to care for themselves. But it seems might be appropriate, and perhaps we could, when filing this paperwork, reach out to them as well. So, councilors, if there is no other discussion, the motion is for a due pass, but I'm encouraging you to vote no so that our earlier motion will stand and the city can take appropriate action. Seeing no other discussion, Madam Clerk, would you please call the vote on R120?
Councilor Bassan.
No.
Councilor Benton.
No.
Councilor Borrego.
No.
Councilor Harris.
No.
Councilor Jones.
No.
Councilor Pena.
Yes.
Councilor Sena.
No.
Councilor Davis.
No.
Motion fails.
Thank you, councilors. Thank you, Mr. Williams and Director Whalen. We appreciate it. Good luck, and let us know how that goes. Councilor Pena, R121.
Thank you, Mr. President. R121 is requesting that the City of Albuquerque and the New Mexico Department of Transportation establish the development of the New Mexico State Highway 45 Coors Road between Central Avenue and the intersection with Old Coors as a priority, requiring the City of Albuquerque develop and enter into an agreement to upgrade this segment of Coors to urban arterial standards. So I move a due pass.
Madam President Borrego is offering a second. Councilor Pena, back on the bill.
Okay, and then I have a couple of amendments, and I don't know what I did with them. Do you have those?
Mr. Ortega tells me it may be a floor sub. Is that right?
The floor sub, yeah. So I'm going to move this floor sub, and this is, and I'm going to ask for immediate action so that we can vote on it this evening. But what happened was, I gave bad information to Tom when he drafted this, and I actually said Coors and I meant Gun Club. So it's just changing the title from Old Coors, from between Central Avenue and the intersection of Old Coors. So it would actually then be between Central Avenue and Gun Club to urban standards is basically. And then he changed some of the data associated with it, because if you go down in the bill, it'll show that, it was traveled by like 20,000 people. Obviously with the new information, it's 30,000 people, and accidents were like at 200 people, and now it's at like 600 crashes. So all that information is on the floor sub. So I think the proper motion is to support the floor sub. And then if it gets supported, but the floor sub, and then we'll move for immediate action. I'm not sure which one comes first.
That's right. We'll first try to get the bill right, and then we'll deal with how we deal with it. And so you have a second from Councilor Borrego. Councilors, if there's no opposition to proceeding, we'll move to a vote on Councilor Benton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had a question for the sponsor. Is this roadway? So I was picturing what the previous bill said. So is it all the way down to Gun Club? Is that all City of Albuquerque right away?
So it's not all city, it has pockets of it. So the reason initially that when I talked to Tom, I knew that the city boundary, for all intents and purposes, the solid city boundary ended at Old Coors. But, obviously I've spoken to Commissioner Quesada and it's in his district, but if you drive down the road, there's several sections that actually are in the city. And as you know, the Southwest area is so checkerboard. So just decided to, partner with the county, with Commissioner Quesada, and since it's a state road, we're going to partner together to say, hey, because the gun club is actually, I think that's where Valley Gardens U-turn, and that's actually city right of way as well. So all the way down there. And Tom, I don't know if you want to add, I seen you pop up, and thank you again, Tom, for all your work on the other bill, and thanks for your work on this. And I don't know if you have any comments.
Mr. President, Councilor Pena, Councilor Benton, basically though, the new bill recognizes that it still states that the city should only be involved in supporting the project regarding, working on the project with the state in the city section. It then encourages the Bernalillo County to work with the state in the section that is under the domain of Bernalillo County, which is from Old Coors Drive down to Gun Club. So it does make sure there's a different, that we're only applying the city to the city area.
That's correct, but there are still some city sections within that.
Mr. Minicucci, you want to?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, Mr. Minicucci. Anything further? I think Councilor Pena was just adding that clarifier. Is that all right?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Councilor Pena. Councilor Benton is next, then Councilor Jones. Councilor Borrego, I believe you were the second. Is that right? You don't have a question. You're just offering a second. Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, then Councilor Borrego is first, then Councilor Benton, then Councilor Jones, then Councilor Bassan. And as a reminder, this is only on the motion to allow the sponsor to clean up her bill with the floor sub, and then we can get to the other action items. But Councilor Borrego.
So, Councilor Pena, as I was reading the floor sub and trying to understand the bill, I'm understanding that this is just encouraging that the three entities work together, mm-hmm. and that future funding would be established as they move forward. And I guess the question that I have is, are you also looking at federal funding for this?
Well, yes, but part of the reason for this is there was actually $3 million set aside for this stretch of the road at one point. This was probably previous to me being in office. And there was a decision by the city council body at the time to actually use it to update the Coors Corridor Plan. And so that took that $3 million away from the road improvements to update the Coors Corridor Plan. And so the money, it was a priority at the time through Mr. Cog, and the money actually, the money was used. And so then there was kind of noticed that there was an error in that, and the money should have been put back. And actually then there was another decision by, not necessarily this body, but that actually moved the money, the $3 million to a different project. So I'm really trying to get the money back that was initially put there. And then obviously proceed from there. As you know, Coors Road predates the rest of this, much of the entire stretch of Coors. And when you look at Coors all the way to Alameda, you'll see that there's a lot of infrastructure, sidewalk, curb, gutter, pedestrian friendly. And when you look at the area south of Central, it doesn't have some of those same amenities.
I guess my follow-up question, and maybe this is for Tom, is Mr. Minicucci, should we be saying something in there about the Mr. Cog and how this should be prioritized, or that it should be a priority in the future for Mr. Cog? Should we have, because I didn't see that in the bill, and I'm just wondering if that's something that we should have included.
Councilor Borrego, yes, that would be something good to include. It's somewhat assumed in the fact that if it becomes a city priority, the city works a lot of its funding for major roads through the Mr. Cog process. However, stating it in the bill, I mean, that's probably a writing error on my part or omission on my part. So it would be good to insert that, if that can be done on the fly.
Yes, that we look for a section in there. Maybe Tom could look for that, so that we could add that to your floor substitute as an amendment.
Thank you. So just for process wise, the motion on the floor will be for the floor sub. It might be best to pass the floor sub if the sponsor chooses, and then to amend the floor sub once it's the new bill. But Mr. Melendez has some process updates we need to talk about, but I do want to get through a couple of our other counselor questions so the sponsor could decide how she wants to proceed this evening. And so Counselor Pena, it's your bill. I see you have a question here, and then we have Counselor Benton and Counselor Jones. Go ahead, ma'am. Counselor Pena.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually just wanted to state that, yeah, I was asking for immediate action for this evening, but I think that what we'll go ahead and do, and I think Mr. Melendez will address this, is that because of my error in terms of the title, I think that we it changes the language to so much so that I need to make sure that we give public notice of the intent. So I would ask for a deferral. I just wanted to update that I will not be asking for immediate action, but a deferral.
Okay. And so Counselor Pena, do you want to go ahead and do your floor sub tonight, or do you just want to defer the whole package and do it again in 2 weeks with an updated version at your?
Mr. President, if I can just maybe get some glass there. So with the title issue, it would probably be cleaner if Counselor Pena, you'd be willing to just defer the entire bill and move your floor sub next time.
Okay.
And that way we could do the proper notice on the agenda.
Mr. President, Chris Melendez, would that require another 2 weeks because of the title change at that point?
Madam, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, Counselor Pena, no, it would not. It's not an ordinance, so we don't have to pre-publish. We just needed to make sure that we cross T's and dotted I's on the agenda, and we can do that without any further deferral beyond our next meeting.
Okay, perfect. So then we'll do that.
Thank you. So Counselor Pena, you're going to withdraw your motion to approve the floor sub, and we'll be back on the original bill. And so you're going to make a motion, I believe. Your motion, I believe, now is for just a deferral on the bill for 30 days. Or I'm sorry, until our next meeting for 2 weeks. Is that right?
2 weeks. 2 weeks, yes.
And I'll second that just to make that clean. But we still have Counselor Benton who wants to ask a follow-up, I think, before we get there. Counselor Benton?
No, thank you, Mr. President. I was just going to second.
Oh, thanks. Perfect. And Counselor Jones is withdrawing her question. And so, Counselor Pena, we're back on the motion on the floor for a 2-week deferral, R121, and then we'll script that accordingly for the immediate action at the next meeting. Counselor Pena, is there anything else on that motion?
That's it. I urge your support on the deferral.
Madam Clerk, on the 2-week deferral, would you please call the vote?
Counselor Bassan.
Yes.
Counselor Benton.
Yes.
Counselor Borrego.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Pena.
Yes.
Counselor Sena.
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
8-0 on the deferral.
Counselor Benton, you have our last item of the evening, item K, R126.
Thank you, Mr. President. R126 is amending the adopted capital implementation program of the city by supplementing current appropriations. I move a do pass.
Thank you. And for the record, I'll second it. And I see some others behind me. Thank you. But we'll just take it off of the top. Counselor Benton to explain the bill.
Yes, councilors, this is a New Mexico Main Street grant, and it will be going to the Borellis Main Street, and we're getting it into our CIP. So urge your support.
Thank you. Councilors, any other questions or comments, discussion on that item? And seeing none, we will call the vote. Ms. Ortega.
Counselor Bassan.
Yes.
Counselor Benton.
Yes.
Counselor Borrego.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor Jones.
Yes.
Counselor Pena.
Yes.
Counselor Sena.
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
Passes 8-0.
Councilors, thank you very much. And to everyone who's paid attention, let me just say, Counselor Borrego, again, congratulations. I look forward to joining you in a couple of weeks. Our actually being at home and being able to join in a different role. Congrats on your election. We look forward to a great year. Let me just say thank you to everybody. It has been a weird year. We all tried to figure this out 100 different ways. I think we literally had one meeting in the city council chambers before we changed all the rules and did it all different. And I think we've done it different about a dozen times so far. And so I appreciate everyone's patience and working with us to do that. I know the administration is watching upstairs. I can see them even if their video is not on. I just want to say a particular thank you to Sarita and Lawrence and Isaac and Mike in the mayor's office. I had a chance to visit with the mayor the other day and to share that. But this has been an unusual year, and we appreciate all of your work to work through this process with us, spending federal money and keeping our employees paid and getting money out to businesses and finding a way to include counselors in ways that we've never done that before. So thank you. And particularly to our staff who makes these meetings work. And that's here in the room. And Madam President, you know that how important, you've been in here with us before. You know that all this is about them doing all the work and us just saying what they tell us. But Ms. Yara, Ms. Ortega, and Mr. Moya make all these meetings work for us and make us look good when we do it. And so I'm particularly grateful all year that they helped us do this. And I want to say thank you.
I want to say, Councilor President Davis, thank you for your leadership and your guidance this past year. I know it's been a really tough year, and I look forward to working with all the counselors and the administration. And thank you to the staff. It's been a very challenging year for all of us. Hope to have a better 2021.
Thank you. And I see Sanjay there too. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you. I just didn't see you earlier. Counselors, there being no other business, this city council meeting is adjourned.